Last time in this series, I left Bakersfield, weighed down with as much food as I could possibly cram onto my unicycle, and slowly made my way through the Sierra Nevada mountain range. After following the Kern River up its gorge, I connected with some modern-day cowboys, who very kindly invited me to camp with them that night. Eastwards, I eventually found myself at the base of Bird Spring Pass, a 2,000-foot climb that would take me over my final section of the mountain range and into the Mojave Desert. I was apprehensive, but extremely excited for the remote miles to come. I thought Bird Spring Pass was going to be paved. It's not paved. I'm too stubborn to turn back, so I'm just going to head down this path. It's going to be a lot of walking. And yeah, this is going to be a mistake. This is going to be a massive mistake.
I'm riding on a one-man wheel, Parkinson built analog 36-inch unicycle across the USA. I don't know what the hell I'm going to get myself into. Yeah.
My name's Ed, and I'm riding a unicycle around the world. Join me on this series as I attempt to cycle 4,000 miles across the United States of America. So with just 3 hours of daylight left, I started my slow walk over the pass. You can make most things look idyllic if you film them in slow motion and throw a soothing guitar song over the top. But let me show you the reality of this situation.
I'm at the top of the pass! That's the last I'm gonna see of the sun until tomorrow morning. From here it gets super cold. I'm in for a very, very chilly night.
Did you know you can watch my videos a week early on Patreon? Well, you can, and all these lovely people are already doing it. So thank you very much if you're supporting me over there. And I want to say a particularly big thank you to Andrew Thomas, Elijah Legenda, James Little, Kelly Jackson, Kentaru Sakino, Derek Donovan, Mark C, Mark Paris, Tomaz Probella, and Warren Snader. All of you are supporting me on the 3rd tier, which means that I get out on my bike and I thank you in person or via video. So thank you very much. Woo!
You got a gun, Letty? Or will you use mine?
Spiky. I haven't seen anybody since yesterday morning. It's so remote out here. I kept walking last night. It got so windy at the top of that mountain pass over there. And I just kept walking in the dark because I wanted to find somewhere out the wind to kind of pitch the tent. I'm not regretting this decision yet, but that's because I've still got water. But I just need to keep moving and hope that I can get back to a road and back to somewhere where I can resupply before I run out of food and water, because that could be quite bad.
Down by the river where the rubies grow, hop in the sky and the merry-go, stolen by the crow who's as white as snow, to give to the belly for ready and glow. Not one day later when the baby could speak, he took by the snatch, took the quick technique, struck by the strength of his own sharp beak, bound to the sound of his mother's
After an hour and a half of walking, I eventually hit a section of track that didn't seem all that loose.
Gonna try and ride now. I think the surface is solid enough.
So I thought I'd have a crack at riding a few miles.
Now the days go by and the white crow flies, days from the gates of his mother's eyes, coming through the stalks of the old wild ride, rubies on his feathers through the ramify.
Look! Wow, that's so loose. Okay, I'm gonna walk for a bit longer.
It was around this point that I started to get a little bit worried about my water situation. I was down to just 2 litres, and due to the fact that I was forced to walk, it was possibly going to be a little while until I could next find somewhere to resupply. Almost as if the Mojave Desert had heard my concern, around the next bend I stumbled across this gigantic water tank. The only challenge now was how to actually make it dispense water.
Okay. So I think I just opened up the valve. I've come down to here. So there's the tank, and then over here there's a kind of tap type thing, which looks like that's where the water comes out of. But I'm not quite sure how to get the water to come out of this nozzle. It's like some kind of cruel puzzle. I mean, it sounds like something's coming out. What do we open? What do we open that one? Right. That way. Ooh. Well, that made a different noise. Don't think it's coming out of there. Wait a minute. Oh shit, I think it might be coming out of that one. Oh! Go, 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 go! Oh! Yeah! Okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. Oh my god.
Looking back, I realised just how simple that puzzle was. But at the time, I remember just being absolutely over the moon that I'd solved it and been rewarded with as much water as I could possibly carry. You off, and you... yeah, you go that way, right?
Yeah! Worked it out!
And with some chlorine tablets left to clean my newly acquired water, I carried on down the track. I didn't think it was possible, but somehow the surface had become even looser, making walking a struggle. And I was starting to wonder whether, indeed, I had actually made a massive mistake coming down here. But these thoughts quickly subsided when I caught a glimpse of what was up ahead.
Yeah! Yes! It's paved road! Oh yes. This is how to get out of the desert. Well, no, actually, it's going to be a while until I get out of the desert, but this is the way to get back to the main road. It's a little bit bumpy, but I'm certainly travelling a lot faster than I would be if I was on foot. This is great.
The road eventually took me to a place called Inyokern, a tiny town just outside of Ridgecrest. It had been 2 full days since I'd last seen another person, so I decided to knock on the door of the first home I came to and ask if I could camp in the yard. This is the family that I met, and they couldn't have been more lovely. It's a shame I don't have more footage, but they invited me in, fed me up, gave me a bed, and offered me a shower, and goodness knows I needed one. If you're watching this, thank you Gail, Eva, Kelly and Colton. Your hospitality was a massive deal to me. The next morning, I rode into Ridgecrest, restocked my food supplies, and cycled back out into the desert. From here, I wouldn't stop until I reached Las Vegas, 270 miles away. The distance itself didn't concern me, but what did slightly was the upcoming Death Valley crossing that separated me from the City of Lights. And at a choice, I planned to unicycle straight through it. A little silly perhaps, but I'm only going to be unicycling across the United States once, and this was one place that I was pretty excited to see. Riding the smooth red road down into Panamint Valley was exhilarating. The USA is just ridiculously vast, and looking out into the empty nothingness ahead of me, there was absolutely no escaping just how remote this next section was going to be. Just over the next mountain ridge lay Death Valley, a place I'd dreamt of riding through ever since I'd conceived this crazy idea of unicycling around the world 4 years ago. But to see how I get on riding through the driest place in the USA, you'll have to tune in next time. If you're feeling impatient and can't wait for next week's video, you're in luck, because the next episode is available right now on my Patreon. And if you're feeling really impatient, you can head over to Vimeo and watch the entire Ed Unicycles the USA series from start to finish over there. Your support is greatly appreciated.
Well, this old thing ain't built for speed, but I love my trusty dusty steed. It'll get me around the world soon, and I'll try a full moon. I know my route is roundabout, but I sure as hell don't have a doubt. It'll get me where I'm going, as long as the wind is blowing. I'm well aware of dangers out there, and it's not that I don't care, but you